I'm going to comment on the U.S. President Barack Obama's new strategy that he's formulating in Afghanistan. So first of all, I just want to say I don't understand why Barack Obama, a man of his intelligence, is trying to formulate a new strategy in Afghanistan. See, the thing is, a lot of people don't understand is it doesn't matter what strategy we formulate in Afghanistan, nothing's going to work. The sad reality is Afghanistan is always been and always will be what we call in the West a failed state. Maybe the Taliban, with their Islamic ideals, will be able to bring some sort of justice, some sort of peace to the country one day. But the fact of the matter is, it will be them doing it, not us. Now, the Taliban have taken over most of the country. They also have a very vibrant insurgency in Pakistan as well. The thinking that we can come in there and change everything is unbelievable to me. Now, I knew this would happen in Iraq. A lot of people argue that in Iraq we have won now and things are going to be okay. One day we're going to pull out and they're going to be a thriving democracy. That's still to be seen. My opinion, I think as soon as we leave, the nutcases are going to come back out and they'll have their civil war, Sunni-Shiite, along Sunni-Shiite lines, and also along other lines as well. For example, Al-Qaeda is going to try and get a foothold in the country. The Kurds are going to try and create their own country. It's going to be quite a disaster. But we're not here to talk about Iraq. We're here to talk about Afghanistan. And Afghanistan has a long history. Alexander the Great, 3,000 years ago, tried to invade Afghanistan. He was unsuccessful. About 100 years ago, or more, 300 years ago, at least, Afghanistan was part of the British Raj, which was the British occupation of the Indian subcontinent. Afghanistan was included in that, of course. The tribal areas in western Pakistan, northwestern Pakistan that is, and the Afghan tribal areas in eastern Afghanistan, south and north and central east Afghanistan, have never been subdued. The British could not do it. And they were much less politically correct than we are these days, meaning carpet bombing, assassinations, all that stuff was fair game back then. They could not quell these people. See, the Pashtun are fighters. They know this too. They know they live in the most inhospitable terrain in the world. It's harsh winters, jagged mountains, cave complexes, underground tunnels, you name it. It's very difficult for your army to go in there and actually win. It's almost impossible. So anyways, the British couldn't do it. Then in the 80s, the Russians came in. They got annihilated too. Now we think we can come in there and fix this. So what I'm saying is, whatever strategy Obama's going to come up with, and I like Obama, don't get me wrong. I was completely pro-Obama this whole election. I wanted him to get elected. I knew that he was going to get rid of the troops in Iraq and divert them to Afghanistan, which is the real war, which is true. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter what we do there. We're going to lose. Okay? One thing about Americans is they're very good at winning a war, but then they're not good at the end game. They're not good at the occupation part. And the Afghan war didn't really start till about 4 years ago. All that stuff in 2001, 2002, when basically people forgot about it, they figured it was won and all that. That was all just the Taliban reorganizing. So what could be the best strategy then, if there's no way we can win there? It doesn't matter if they put troop increases, it doesn't matter if they try to win hearts and minds, it doesn't matter if they try to wipe out the whole, existence of the Taliban now. Okay, it's not going to work. So that leaves us basically with two options. one would be to nuke both countries and basically wipe out the whole existence of the place, but then you would ignite the whole Muslim world and probably start some sort of World War III. So that's obviously not an option. And the other option is just to leave. But it's much more difficult than that. I'm not stupid. I know if we leave, the country is going to turn into what it was pre-September 11th. And the training grounds for Al-Qaeda insurgents and terrorists will start again in Afghanistan, if they're not already there. The Taliban will take over the whole country easily. This time they won't have the problem that they had before with Ahmad Shah Massoud and the Northern Alliance. This time they will have no problem quelling 100% of the country, I believe. And they'll have most of Western Pakistan as well. So what will happen? So they will take over the whole country and we'll have the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, or maybe they'll change it to Talibanistan, I don't know. But either way, the international jihad they have going against the United States will continue, and attacks against the homeland of the United States and various Western European countries, India, China, and Russia will be based out of there. And then what do? Go back? I mean, I don't know. I'm starting to think that this war is unwinnable. And I'm not talking about just Afghanistan. I'm talking about the whole war on terror, supposedly. This war on terror. So what do? I mean, anybody that really pays attention to what's going on, you know, I'm not talking about watching CNN and stupid stuff like, you know, Fox News and stuff like that. I'm talking about reading about the subject by people that know what they're talking about. Like, for example, Michael Scheuer, who was head of the Bin Laden unit in the 90s, pre-September 11th and a little bit after September 11th. He says that Al-Qaeda's goals, and this includes the Taliban because they are basically Al-Qaeda's people in Afghanistan, are to, number one, get us out of Iraq and Afghanistan. Number two, get us out of the Arabian Peninsula. Number three, stop us stealing their oil. Or not so much stealing their oil, but basically buying their oil for the prices that we want to buy it for. And the ultimate goal is to get all these repressive regimes out of Muslim countries and create the Ummah, which is the Islamic Caliphate, basically stretching from southern Spain to Indonesia. And the only way to do this is to take out all these repressive dictatorships and ugly regimes that control most of the Muslim countries these days. But see, the thing a lot of people don't realize is we're propping these regimes up because we like the cheap oil, we like the fact that they do what we please. For example, Egypt will say they have a democracy, yet they're beating up people at the polling stations because they're wanting to vote for the Muslim Brotherhood, which is an anti-Egyptian regime. We let that happen. In fact, I could almost go as far as say we make that happen. Oh, and I forgot, of course, Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, of course, want the destruction of Israel and the liberation of the Palestinian people. I forgot to mention that. So, I'm not saying we should pull out, because if we do, they win. Are they going to leave us alone after they get everything they want? Maybe. They might. They might not, though. So, unless Obama's going to come up with some unbelievably intricate, innovative plan that I have never even thought of, and I've thought about this a lot, I'm not convinced that it's going to work in Afghanistan. And I'm not convinced that this is going to be good for the wider war. I won't say war on terror. The war against Islamic militancy, Islamic extremism. The war against Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda.